Welcome to Chicago. So we've got a few days left in the show. So wanted to share. By the time you're watching this, the show's probably over. But wanted to share a little bit of some of my thoughts right off the bat. Some of the things that we were thinking about or guessing about or questioning going into it. So a little bit of a different show today. But still the most passionate content for card collectors on YouTube and possibly the whole entire internet. So the show has been packed. From I got in on Tuesday. I didn't go into the show floor. Was meeting up with some people, and there weren't really many people. But I was hearing from a lot of people that were there that there were a lot more people that had already gotten set up. Sort of midday, late day on Tuesday. And there were a lot of deals already being made. So dealers and other people that could get in on Tuesday were already making deals more so than prior years. That's really kind of the barometer that we're using is what has happened prior years. And I think it goes for pretty much everybody. This National has been unlike any other year in a lot of ways, in good ways. So we've been hearing a lot of people say that, stuff was happening earlier. Wednesday, I was there early. There was a lot of stuff going on, stuff still getting set up. Like a lot of the corporate booths and all that type of stuff really don't get set up until an hour or two before that sneak preview opens. So there's a lot of noise and stuff, but a lot of the dealers were set up, not all, but a lot. So there was a lot of movement, a lot of activity, a lot of action, deals, obviously, people dropping stuff off for grading, people that could get in early, the dealers and all that type of stuff. That's definitely something that's happening a lot. But the sneak preview, it was unbelievable, the amount of people. This is my third National, so it's not like I have a wide range, and it was unlike any other year. It was packed. Thursday, the crowds were like a Saturday, from my vantage point. So the crowds are incredible. I'm sure you've heard it's hot. It is very hot. Everybody is sweaty. So that's absolutely true. It was obviously it's cooler when there's less people. Thursday, very, very hot. And they started bringing out like some fans to kind of move air, kind of like those fans that you use to like dry a carpet if there's flooding or stuff like that, if you've seen those. So the air conditioning's on, but the Chicago venue, the air conditioning is not a highlight. There's a lot of other great things. Air conditioning isn't one, but having the airflow move around because of the fans definitely made a big improvement. And you would notice that there were certain parts of the show floor, because of the way that it's laid out, that got more airflow and felt a little bit more comfortable. But you'd also notice that kind of the crowds in certain areas would be a little bit more condensed, a little bit more high traffic density in certain areas. In those areas, you would feel a difference. It's almost like there's 4 separate chunks of the show. You've got the Breakers Pavilion as one, and then you've got kind of dealer stuff off to the side of the Breakers Pavilion. That's its own. You've got kind of the old main area, that's its own, and then you've got this new area behind the Breakers Pavilion going towards the autograph area. That's like the 4th area. So each one of those kind of have their own vibe and feel, and it changes throughout the day. So especially once the doors first open, the 2 main entrance areas get swarmed. You just see this steady flow of like very constant, consistent, heavy flow of people for like a good 2 hours is what I was hearing from some of the dealers around there. I try to, if I can get in before the general admission, I try to do stuff around those main entrances before the general admission start, and then move out of those areas because it's like a fish swimming upstream. It's very difficult to maneuver and navigate and see anything. And on the lines of seeing things, it's very common, I've been finding, once general admission opens, that a lot of the booths are 1 to 2 deep. There's a lot of peering over shoulders. Not like trying to see what people, not any sort of like a security issue way, just trying to see what's in dealer showcases, because there's, at some showcases, especially the better ones, it's just there's a solid line of people talking to dealers, asking them kind of their thoughts on the show and how it's been for them, different variations of that. everybody has said this has been incredible. They're making a lot of deals. Whatever is great for them, whether they're a collector that's setting up, they're getting lots of good stuff. There is only one dealer that I didn't hear that from. And I don't think it's a coincidence. Looking at what they had there, their inventory was not like the really scarce, hard to find, or really highly sought after stuff, and their prices were very high. Multiples higher than an eBay sale would be. So I think that makes sense. You can be high if it's something that doesn't show up often. That's one thing I've been seeing is a lot of the stuff in showcases and stuff that's getting moved for very high dollar amounts are cards that you just don't see often. There are a lot of things that I've been seeing in showcases that are unbelievable. I've been talking to people, and one example, a friend who's a Tim Duncan collector has been saying that he gets kind of disappointed because he feels like he sees the same things at the National for Tim Duncan. You see the jambalayas, you see PMGs, you see credentials, you see a few other rookies, legacy collection, big, good, nice Tim Duncans. But if you either have those or they're too expensive for you, or for whatever you're not interested in those, it gets kind of monotonous, and you want to see some of those other pieces that are hard to find. This year I'm finding those, like a vivid Tim Duncan was out. There were some of the late 90s insert parallels from Upper Deck number 25 of Tim Duncan, and that's just one example. I'm finding a lot more than prior years for inventory of 90s, and it's not just concentrated in one booth or another. There are some that are very heavy in 90s, and then there are some that you wouldn't expect to have 90s, then all of a sudden, oh look, here's a little pocket of some stuff, and it's not just Jordan. So I do my typical thing. If I see 90s, I wait my turn and I ask if they have any Penny Hardaway stuff if I haven't seen it in the showcase yet. Even if I do see Penny Hardaway, or especially if I do see Penny Hardaway, I ask if there's any more, because sometimes that stuff is sitting behind the table for various reasons. So and that's been working for me. Not like I'm always finding stuff that I need, but that oftentimes has been helping me at least see more Penny Hardaway stuff. So the stuff that's coming out is better from my vantage point than prior years. Not that there's any issue with the stuff prior years. The other thing too, I know I've been hearing a lot of people ask questions about is pricing. Prices are high, but there are deals. There are absolutely cards that are priced fairly, cards that are priced below comps. I'm absolutely seeing that. It'll be interesting to see how many of those are left as the show goes on, right? I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of those are getting snapped up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I don't know how many of those deals are going to be around, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But, we'll see. So if those deals are there, that's great, because I think the heavy crowds, I think Saturday is going to be a little bit overwhelming for the crowds. If we're seeing Saturday type crowds, as the sneak preview happens, and Thursday, I can only imagine what Saturday is going to bring. It's also on that point going to be interesting to see how Sunday is, because usually, in my experience, Sunday has been a day that people pack up early, dealers, and it's a lighter crowd, and by noon or 1 o'clock, stuff's kind of shutting down. Not that the show's closing, but there's not a lot of stuff. It's a good time to say goodbye to friends and stuff like that, but it's not necessarily the most heavy transacted day. But it'll be interesting too, because in the past I've heard that it's a good day to buy wax. People put that stuff on sale, but the last 2 years, 2021 and 2022, wax has been a different space, and that hasn't been the case. So it'll be interesting to see if dealers are more motivated to move things Saturday and Sunday. I would expect that, if you're trying to trade like I like to do, those are going to be a little bit less easy to make happen. And on that note, I have been noticing that dealers are, not completely, but in some regards, a little bit less, they're desiring trades less. Right, they want cash more than trades. Not that they won't look at it, not that it's not happening, but I haven't seen as much success as I have in the last 2 years. In 2021, I saw a ton of success with trading myself and other people. Last year was a little bit less. Excuse me. You can already hear my voice is going. It's loud, and you got to hydrate. So yeah, gotta take care of myself a little bit better here. But yeah, so last year trades were possible, but a little bit less than the year before, and this year it seems like a little bit less. And that could be because of the stuff that people are walking around with. Definitely the super high end, the best stuff in the show it's in people's backpacks walking around. There's great stuff in showcases, but absolutely incredible stuff, walking around. So there's a lot of heat in the room for all different kinds. So, those are kind of my thoughts and impressions right off the bat. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about the 2026 location. I know that there was something leaked about Atlantic City. I'm hearing from dealers and collectors, that's not accurate. That's not locked in there. And honestly, it seems like unless there's some sort of a fix-in or something like that, that the vast majority of dealers are not interested in going back to Atlantic City, and the vast majority of collectors are also not interested in going back to Atlantic City. So from that vantage point, it seems like Chicago and Atlanta are the most probable locations for 2026. We already know, the next two for 24 and 25, but 26 sounds like it might be in a new location in Atlanta or Chicago. It's kind of, do you want to try something new, or do you want to go with the tried and true thing that you know? And it would be there, I think, 2 or 3 years in a row. If it's Chicago in 26, I think it's Chicago in 2025, and then I think it's still to be determined for 2027, but the speculation is it might be back in Chicago. So I don't think 3 years of Chicago is a bad thing, but some people might feel differently. So those are my thoughts. That's what I've been hearing. That's what I've been seeing. And we'll talk about how the show goes after I get home, and what I get and what I've moved and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that. Thanks. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss any videos in the future. New videos dropping once-ish a week. Obviously this week a little bit different. So usually once a week, sometimes twice a week. We got stuff like this, reviews of shows, 90s pack openings, looks into my PC, occasional collector interviews, occasional grading reveals, and so much more. Thanks. We'll talk later.